Yeah, S works, everyone put it in their hands. You know it's a vibe, they're waiting in line to get up and flood up the stands. Yeah, we in this together, we feeling like fam. It's all about peace, so pull up with friends. You better come through with you and your crew, cause everybody going in. S works, so we keep it lit. You can see how we move the city from the west side to the east. Ooh, you can feel how we leave through. It's all about the youth. Change the world through the tunes. Make the world to a better place. And S works what we do.
Social works, social works, social works, social works, social works. Social works. Keep my family out the dirt. This organization, we stopping no Satan and open, but we call it Sworks. Action on Taylor, the killer verse. I do on my family, my city hurt. They killing our babies, this war going crazy. I pray for my city to reimburse. Running schools for the kids. We the city, yeah, we lit it. All I know is it's work. Working hard, keep it busy. Know the life keep it tricky, but please just let me finish. Let me just be a witness. S works, handle business.
Social works, social works, social works, social works, social works.
Ready or not, here we come. South side, west side, east side, north side. Up on the run, we ain't finna none. We came in the party, we here for the fun. Celebrate life, the party we young. Sky's the limit, we looking above. We up in the sun, no matter what, we stay on the run. Ha, S work, do your thing. S work, keep it lit. Bullseye, keep your aim. Yeah, we up on the jib. North side, that's the way. Ready or not, here we come. S work, keep the energy. Look, yeah, we never unplug. S work, show some love.
Social works, social works, social works, social works, social works, social works. Social works, social works, social works, social works, social works, social works, social works. Yeah, S works, everyone put it in their hands. You know it's a vibe, they're waiting in line to get up and flood up the stands. Yeah, we in this together, we feeling like fam. It's all about peace, so pull up with friends. You better come through with you and your crew, cause everybody going in. S works, so we keep it lit. You can see how we move the city from the west side to the east. Ooh, you can feel how we leave through. It's all about the youth. Change the world through the tunes. Make the world to a better place. And S works what we do.
Social works, social works, social works, social works, social works. Social works. Keep my family out the dirt. This organization, we stopping no Satan and open, but we call it Sworks. Action on Taylor, the killer verse. I do on my family, my city hurt. They killing our babies, this war going crazy. I pray for my city to reimburse. Running schools for the kids. We the city, yeah, we lit it. All I know is it's work. Working hard, keep it busy. Know the life keep it tricky, but please just let me finish. Let me just be a witness. S works, handle business.
Social works, social works, social works, social works, social works, social works.
Ready or not, here we come. South side, west side, east side, north side. Up on the run, we ain't finna none. We came in the party, we here for the fun. Celebrate life, the party we young. Sky's the limit, we looking above. We up in the sun, no matter what, we stay on the run. Ha, S work, do your thing. S work, keep it lit. Bullseye, keep your aim. Yeah, we up on the jib. North side, that's the way. Ready or not, here we come. S work, keep the energy. Look, yeah, we never unplug. S work, show some love.
Social works, social works, social works, social works, social works, social works. social works, social works, social works, social works, social works, social works, social works. Yeah, S works. Everyone put it in their hands. You know it's a vibe. They're waiting in line to get up and flood up the stands. Yeah, we in this together. We feeling like fam. It's all about peace. So pull up with friends. You better come through with you and your crew, cause everybody going in. S works, so we keep it lit. You can see how we move the city from the west side to the east. Ooh, you can feel it how we leave through. It's all about the youth. Change the world through the tunes. Make the world to a better place. And S works what we do.
Social works, social works, social works, social.
Sworkshops are a series of online workshops featuring the many incredibly talented friends of SocialWorks. This series aims to inspire and educate, bringing local and national creatives live to your smartphone. They will be sharing and teaching specific aspects of their craft. A wide variety of professions, interests, and hobbies are represented within our curriculum. Did we mention it's a fundraiser too? The stay-at-home notice has students wondering what's to come. For some, graduation and prom will both be canceled. This campaign will directly fundraise a celebration event for those students within the Chicagoland area. Once it's safe, of course. Tune in to any of our socials for one or all of the Sworkshops. You can find the full schedule of programming at socialworksshy.org or on our Instagram. Classes start Monday, April 13th. We'll see you there.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in for my workshop today. I will be doing a live Q&A after the video, so please head over to slido.com and use the hashtag Sworks, SWORKS. And also, if you feel inclined, please check out the donate link below to donate to the prom fund. So I hope you enjoy the video. Thanks.
Hey everybody, my name is Doshi. I'm a professional musician from Chicago, Illinois. Today I'll be sharing with you some tips and tricks that I use to stay creative and occupied during this uncertain time that we're all dealing with together. I don't want to use the word productive because I think it's important that we don't keep too much pressure on ourselves to be busy and doing things. It's okay to relax, and hopefully the tips and tricks that I give you today are meant to be something that's both fun and a way for you to be creative. Before we start, I want to give a quick thank you to SocialWorks for the opportunity to speak with you guys today, and a quick side note that I hope that everyone's families are safe and that everyone is being smart and staying healthy during this time. Which leads me to creative tip number 1. Staying healthy. I think it's important to have a routine that you do every day. For me, when I wake up in the morning, I like to make a smoothie, throw in some different fruits, veggies, whatever's in the fridge, some orange juice, get that vitamin C. And then usually throughout the day, I find time to walk or take a bike ride and get some fresh air and just get out of my house. Creative tip number 2. I think it's important to have some ongoing projects that you can come back to whenever you're feeling like you're getting tired of doing one thing or getting bored. For me, I like to do puzzles. And I'm going to show you the puzzle that I just finished. What you're looking at here is a puzzle by Gustav Klimt, and it is 1,500 pieces. It took me a long time, like 20 hours. The fun thing about the puzzle is that not only was it challenging and it kept my mind busy, but it also gave me an opportunity to learn about a new artist. I didn't know too much about Gustav Klimt before I did the puzzle. And I also learned a lot about how intricate his paintings are, because I had to kind of learn about the different brushstrokes and the different patterns and the different shapes that he used all throughout this puzzle, because I was constantly kind of finding the pieces for each of those sections. What you're looking at here are some recent Legos that I put together. So these are dinosaurs. Got the T-Rex, and I don't know if that's maybe a Stegosaurus. And as you can see, I'm about to start another one. So as you can see, you're never too old for Legos, and they're another example of a ongoing project that you can keep going and coming back to when you take breaks from doing other things. Some other types of examples of this might be doing a crossword puzzles, playing some board games that use thinking, like maybe like Monopoly or Settlers of Catan. So they're good tools for keeping your brain sort of engaged while having fun. So the next creative tip is to set realistic goals. And I got this little book right here. I don't know if you can read it, but it says, "Think like an artist." And it's just blank pieces of paper, but it's fun because one side has lines and the other side is blank for drawing pictures. So you can kind of set goals and then doodle at the same time. When you're setting goals, it's important to, again, be realistic. Be adjusting of your goals as you are moving along, and seeing if you're not getting anywhere. Maybe that's too much, and that's okay. It's all right to pick one thing to focus on. And with that, I'm going to head over to the piano, and I'll show you some examples of some goals that I've set for myself during this current time that we're in. Okay, so the first thing that I do when I sit down at the piano is I just start by kind of getting myself into the creative space that allows me to kind of come up with some new possibilities and just be in a sense of freedom. So what I usually do is I just sit down and I kind of pick one note, like, okay, so in this case I picked a G. So I'm like, okay, so now I'm going to start kind of improvising and playing at the piano in the key of G. So I'm not really trying to put too much pressure on myself to play anything fantastic or anything like super crazy good. It's just more of like the spirit of like getting myself to kind of relax and kind of putting myself into this space to allow sort of possibilities to come. The next thing that I do, which comes back to our original idea about setting realistic goals for yourselves, is I start to work through some different exercises and goals that I have for myself. So for example, right now, one of the things that I'm working on is this chord pattern in all the 12 keys. So in music, we have these different keys. So the key of C, the key of F, the key of B flat, the key of E flat. And those kind of dictate what notes are being played on the piano in different groups. So, for example, what I'll do is I'll just start by writing down, and like I said, there's 12 different keys. So I make a list on the piano of these different 12 keys, and I kind of work through them slowly. And some days I will have a lot of capacity to kind of do more than one different key, and some days I don't have the energy to do more than one, and that's fine. The important thing is that you kind of stick with it and you work on it every day. Also, an important thing that you do is you kind of revisit some of the things that you were working on. So, for example, if I start with the key of C and the next day I start working on the key of F, I have to go back and revisit the key of C the next day. So this is the exercise that I'm working on. Okay, so that was the key of C. And as you can see, I kind of struggled a little bit, so I'm going to try it again a little bit slower. Okay, so that was better. So now I'll try it maybe a little bit faster. Maybe I'll try it going backwards. Now maybe I'll try and jump around. So doing all these different things creates different patterns in your brain and creates new connections that help you learn a new concept. And sometimes, I'll do something in some different rhythms. So instead of going up, I'll change up the rhythm. I'll go. So it's just kind of trying to find all these different ways to consume this new kind of idea that I'm working on. So the next step then is what I'll do is I'll take that in the next key. So for example, that was in the key of C, which is I'm going to go to D, and so now I have this exercise in D. I'll go. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm looking at new patterns on the piano, and even though it sounds the same, it visually looks different on the piano. So it's kind of challenging my brain in order to figure out a new way of playing on the piano, which ultimately makes me better. So another thing that you can do is take one of these exercises that you're working on and maybe even use that to create a beat of sorts. So I'm going to show you how I took this exercise that I was working on, which was kind of working with this grouping of notes, like. Okay, so that's just a grouping of patterns that I liked, and I was trying to kind of make sure that I could do that in all the different 12 keys. Then I started messing around with kind of the rhythm of that idea. So I was like. So there, I took that idea and I kind of made it my own and I turned it into a song. So now what I want to do is I'm going to take that idea and I'm going to put it on my computer using my MIDI keyboard, and then I'm going to make a beat
from that. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my recording software program that I use, which is called Ableton Live. There's lots of different recording studios that you can use. There's Logic, there's GarageBand, which is free on Macs. There's also a program called Audacity for recording. And they're all very similar. They have different nuances for each of them, but you can probably find one that works for yourself and start using that to make beats. And so, for example, I use Ableton Live just because that's the one I'm comfortable with. So what I'm going to do is, the first thing that I did was I hooked up my keyboard right here to my computer. And I'm going to start a screen recording session so you can sort of see how I do things in Ableton. Okay, so here is my Ableton workstation, and the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to create a piano sound. So I have this program that I use, and I'm going to drag it into this MIDI clip. I should have a piano sound. And let's see. Oh, my piano is unplugged. Okay, so now we have this piano sound. So this is coming out of my keyboard and it's going into my computer, which you can see, and it's coming through right here into this channel right here. That's where those levels are coming up right here. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to record that idea that I just came up with. And I'm going to record it with a metronome, which is a tool that we use for keeping time, and it's got a clicking sound. So let's try it. So that's a little bit fast, so I'm going to try and slow it down a little bit. So let's try it again. Okay, so now I have this idea that I just played from the piano. So I think I'm going to slow it down even a little bit more. Maybe I'm going to change the sound a little bit. Let's see. Maybe I like a Rhodes sound, a little more of an electric piano sound. Okay, so that's going to be the basis of my beat that I'm going to create. Okay, so the next thing that I want to do is I'm going to add some drums. So I'm going to go and I'm going to find, I'm going to create a drum rack. Well, I have two different things. I got these really cool drum packs right here. So let's see if I can find a cool one that we can use. Okay, so let's just start with that. Maybe there's some cool sounds in there. And okay, so now I'm playing these drums on my keyboard on the piano, so I'm like almost like a virtual drummer. So I kind of like this halftime feel, right, with this piano thing. So let's try and I'm going to put this on a loop right here and then try and experiment with some different drums. Okay, so that kind of sounds cool. I'm going to try that. So let's see. So now I'm going to record it. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to add in a bass line to the groove that I created. So I'm quickly going to play this again. So one thing I can do is add in a bass line. So I have this sort of other synthesizer that I use called Mini V3. Actually, this is a I'm going to create a new MIDI track. So this is a demo that I use, but you can kind of use it to create some ideas. So it's free. This is called a VST, by the way. It's called a virtual instrument. So I'm going to find a bass sound that I want. So I'm going to go to bass sounds, and I usually like this one that I use. So you can kind of hear it. I put a little filter on it sometimes so it doesn't sound as crazy. Okay, so then I can record with what I have here. So I'm going to record that. Okay, might not be able to hear it, but it's in there. So let's see. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to flatten it and keep it into a I'm going to convert it from a MIDI track, which is like digital information, and I'm going to make it re-record into audio information. So, okay, so now that I have my beat made, I'm going to add in, I'm going to try and spruce up the drums a little bit to make it a little bit more interesting. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to add a little bit of reverb to the snaps, so it makes a little bit more of a spacious, different sound. So I'm going to pull up this reverb right here, and I'm going to drag it onto the drums. So we got the reverb, and I'm going to drag it onto the snaps. So now you hear it has a bigger snap sound. So it fills out the space a little bit more in the beat. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of sophistication to the drums that we're doing and create like two different sections so it makes the beat a little bit more interesting. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to double the length of my beat that I've created. So I'm just cleaning that up a little bit. So I'm going to take my whole beat right here that I've created and I'm going to double it, okay? Now right here I've created a new drum track and I'm going to add in a new different type of beat underneath the drum track. So one thing that I was thinking of was like kind of adding in a hi-hat sound, which is like this, and maybe doing it like through like 16th notes to kind of give it a little bit more of like a movement to it. So I'm going to add in right here, I'm going to insert a MIDI clip, and then I'm going to go to the hi-hat. And I'm going to kind of do this, and I'm just going to, actually I'm going to do it in 16th notes. So now, do it like this, and now I'm going to just duplicate it. Okay, so now when I hear it, it's going to sound something like this. Okay, so I got to turn off my loop section. Sorry, now we're going to try it again. Let's try this section right here. So this adds in like a different kind of layer to the drums, and it creates a different section. So one thing that you can do is you can kind of mess with the velocities of these hi-hats, so it gives it a little bit more of a real feel, like a drummer would be playing. So that's where I'm gonna kind of click and lower some of these little velocities right here to give it a little bit more of like a humanistic kind of feel. So there's a little bit of that wavering feeling in there. Okay, so this is a really good start on how to kind of mess around and take beats coming from an idea that you came up with on your piano or with your friend, and you can load it on, and then you can kind of produce and make your own beat. And the next step is that you can actually send this idea off to someone else. So like, for example, if I have a friend who plays a different instrument like guitar, I can send him this beat and he can play something over it, then send it back to me. So I can do a lot of these different kind of collaborations with friends while we're not able to leave our apartments and see each other in person. We can do a lot of this over the internet and still come up with some really cool things. Reharmonization. Reharmonization is when you take an existing song that has a certain set of chords and you change the chords underneath and you create your own new version of that song. So you might ask, what are chords? So I'm going to play a melody on the piano, for example, Happy Birthday. And now I'm going to add chords to that. So chords are groups of notes that you play underneath a melody to add sophistication to a song. So let's use this example. He's got the whole world in his hands. So I'm going to start by just playing the melody, and then I'm going to add some chords, and then I will reharmonize underneath and create my own new version of the song. So here's the melody. Now I'm going to add in primary chords. So the chords that you're used to hearing. So here's an example of reharmonization.
He's got the whole world in his hands, the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole wide world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands.
Okay, so the video that I just played you is a video that I saw on Instagram of my friend Thomas doing a challenge called the He's Got the Whole World in His Hands challenge. Basically, Tyler Perry was asking a bunch of different singers to post a video of their own versions of that song. And what that video is it's a cappella, which means that there's no accompaniment to it. So there's no piano music, there's no orchestra, there's no guitars, there's nothing. It's just a singer singing alone. So what I decided to do is I decided to add some piano to it. And I wanted to use that reharmonization technique that we talked about. So I wanted to use different chords underneath that same song in order to create a new version of that song. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take the video that Thomas sent me and I'm going to put it in Ableton Live. So that same program that we were using before. So I have his video right here and I'm going to drop it into an audio track. So if I hit play, his video comes up,
He's got the whole
and he's playing like this. Now the cool thing is I can add a metronome to that.
He's got the whole world.
Right, so then I can use that to help me record the piano part into his video. So the first step obviously is I have to make all these different musical choices by listening to him and kind of playing the chords underneath. And I used some of the same ideas that I used in the video before that I played for you of this sort of new reharmonization of this song. So the next step that I did was I recorded myself playing the piano on my iPhone and along with his track that I played in Ableton, and it came out like something like this. So you're going to see it right here. So I'm going to hit play.
He's got the whole world in his hands. The whole.
Okay, so there's my piano track right there. And the interesting thing though is that I'm not actually going to be using that audio from my iPhone. I'm going to be using the audio from the piano that is recorded into Ableton. So if you notice in the video, I was actually playing the piano on my keyboard right here. And so that music is going to show up in here. So I'm actually not going to do it live right now because it took me a really long time to do, but I'm going to add it into, from my previous session, I'm going to add in that piano track into here. So now, if you can see this video, we have a clean piano track. I'm going to turn off the metronome.
He's got the whole world.
I'm going to turn off the warp. So if you isolate it like this, it's just a clean piano track. There's none of the noise from my iPhone. There's none of the noise from the snappings or any of that scratchy sound. So it's a much more clean signal. So I combine that with his video, right? So if I show the video now, let's see, video window. If I hit play now, it just looks like this.
In his hands, the whole world.
Okay, so the next step is to combine your two video tracks. We have Thomas singing, we have me playing the piano, and then we have one audio track, which is the audio from when I recorded my piano into Ableton. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those, I'm going to put them into a video in iMovie. I'm going to show you how I combined those videos together, added the audio track, did picture-in-picture, and then have my finished product that I can share on Facebook, Instagram, whatever you use. Okay, so first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a new project in iMovie. And I'm gonna import the media that we have. So first thing I'm gonna add is the video of Thomas singing right here. So we have the media, and I'm gonna drag it right here. The next thing I'm gonna drag is the media from me playing the piano. So I'm gonna put it right here, and then I'm gonna put it like this. Well, I'm gonna take one step back. I'm gonna actually put my video in first, because I'm gonna have Thomas's video be in the picture-in-picture. So I'm gonna put my video first, right here, and then I'm gonna add Thomas's video on top, like this. Have it all sync up. And then the last thing is I'm gonna take the audio from Ableton that we had, that piano track, and I'm gonna put it in Ableton Live. So the first thing is that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna export it. Okay, so I've looked for it in the Finder and I have it as free keyscape, and I'm going to take that and I'm going to drag it into my media file, and I'm going to just sync it up right here like this. Okay, so the next thing then what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually mute the audio on my video file right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to drag it all the way down. So now we have the video of me playing the piano, the video of Thomas, and the audio from. So I'm going to play it first. In his hands, okay, so everything linked up. Now the only thing that we want to do next is we want to be able to get that picture-in-picture that I was talking about. So what you're going to do is you're going to click on the video right here, and you're going to go to picture-in-picture. So now there's a video of me playing with Thomas right here, right? And then we have our audio. So if we hit play right here. He's got the whole. Okay, so now what I have to do is make sure that I edit my piano video so that it syncs up with the beginning of the video as well. So I have to do a little bit of editing on where my video starts. So what I can do is I'm going to go right here, split the clip, and then I'm going to delete this extra space. Oh, that's Thomas, so he's back here. He's got. Okay, so after I do all that little video editing work within iMovie, then I'm able to export it and I can share it all over social media. So now I'm going to show you what the finished product looked like of my video. He's got the whole world in his hands, the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. Okay, so another thing that I do sometimes to warm up is I like to play along to different records. And we're so lucky right now that we have such a wide catalog of music that you can kind of listen to and explore. So you can pick anything that you find exciting and just decide to play along to it and try and jam out to it and kind of understand the song on a little bit of a deeper level than just when you hear it on the radio. So what I'll do is I'll start with something as simple as like a Stevie Wonder song like Superstition, and I'll just kind of jam out to it. And again, it's like no pressure. It's just about like feeling good and having fun and kind of exploring it and kind of getting into the groove a little bit. So if you're not really into Stevie Wonder, you could do anything. Like sometimes what I'll do is I'll look at like kind of what the most recent pop hits are right now. So for example, if I pull up, like Dua Lipa and I play like what song is this? So Don't Start Now, right? So I can kind of play along with that and say, okay, those chords are kind of cool. I'm gonna try and figure out what's happening right there. Okay, so like I said, you can kind of find anything that you find interesting that you want to kind of jam out to that you can play along with. And you can learn new things and like, oh, maybe I like those chords a little bit from this song. So let's see, it's a E minor chord. Oh, that's a cool kind of progression. Maybe I can like make my own song from that and maybe send it to my friends, like, but try maybe a different rhythm, I took the song and I just, instead of, I slowed it down, right? So I made it different, but I used it as an inspiration and as a launching point to come up with something new and creative on my own. So I'm not directly copying, but I'm just using someone else as a way to get some inspiration. And then the next step again is like, if you want to be more collaborative, like with friends right now, send this to like a friend that that sings and be like, hey, I can know how to record this stuff into my software now, and I can send that track to you over email, and now we can like put together a song. And again, it's like, don't put so much pressure on yourself to make like the coolest thing. Like, just do something and kind of put it. Okay, so I just want to say a quick thank you to you guys for sticking through the lesson today, and I hope that I was able to give you guys some new ways of thinking and some new ways of approaching that you can hopefully apply to anything that you do, not just music. So I want to remind you guys to stay positive right now. Everything's going to get better. It always does. And remember to, say yes to a lot of things right now. I feel like now is the opportunity to try so many new things. And like for me, doing a video like this for you guys is kind of outside of my comfort zone a little bit, but I have the time right now, and I think that it is a positive experience whenever you try something new, no matter what. So I hope that this helps, and I am available on the internet, on Instagram, Doshi Keys, or you can check out my email address. And send me some questions. I'd be happy to help you kind of figure out this process a little bit more if this is something that interests you. I also give lessons, and I got a lot more of these tips and tricks and things that I do that help me be productive and also have fun. So thanks again. Enjoy the rest of your week. All right. So I'm going to start off with one of the questions on Slido. I think my favorite one that I saw so far was, when you have so many creative projects, how do you know which one to choose? Aha. That's something that I struggle with a lot. Actually, it's kind of this idea. It's called analysis paralysis. It's like you've got so many things to do, and how do you make choices when you have them? In regards to creative projects, I think that the most important thing is that you want to feel like you're moving forward, right? So if you're doing something for a long time and you feel like you just keep hitting a wall and you're not achieving, that could be one of two or three things. One, it could mean that you bit off more than you can chew, which in that case you can kind of diagnose the problem by breaking it into smaller pieces. So have you tried breaking down that creative project into smaller pieces? And then two, it could be just something that's just not interesting to you at the time. So I would say, why don't you focus your energy on something else that is more interesting to you, and you feel like you're able to get into more of a creative flow, and ultimately be more productive, or not productive, but feel more inspired and feel like you're moving forward into new territory. The other thing I'll say about that as well is sometimes, it's okay to have multiple different creative projects that aren't always being accomplished, but it is important to sometimes, make sure that you are finishing things that you start. So it's kind of a process that I think everyone kind of has to figure out for themselves, and it takes a little bit of experimentation to come to those conclusions. Okay. Let's see. I got a question here about, are there cheap, free DAWs that I can check out? So DAWs, again, are those recording software, digital workstations that I use, such as Ableton, to use. And the answer is yes and no. There's some good products that you can use as demos, and they're kind of a little bit less limiting, or a little bit more limiting, but you can still kind of get the basic stuff done, and it's a good way to start. So I know Ableton has a demo. There's student versions. Pretty sure GarageBand is free on Macs, so that's a really good place to start. Yeah, again, here's another question that's kind of back to the similar question that we talked about, how to make a decision when you have too many creative projects. This one is, how do you know when you're too deep into a project and aren't getting to do other things because you are so tied down? Okay, so that's, again, I think you have to when you feel like you're being stuck in anything, that means that change is required. So it comes down to diagnosing whether or not this is something that you want to keep pursuing, or this is something that you might need to throw away, or something you might need to just put on the table for a little bit, right? So if it's something that you think that you want to pursue, that might mean that you're close to the finish, right? So if you're close to finishing something, then it might mean okay, maybe you just need to hunker down and just get it done, before you give up finishing it. If you're kind of halfway through something and you're feeling stuck and you don't feel like you're getting anywhere, that might mean it's time to put that thing away and come back to it. It doesn't matter. You can always revisit things. Okay, great. Let's see. This is a question from Brian. It says, am I a producer? Yes, I am a producer. I work with different artists in Chicago, and I help in many different ways. A producer has a lot of different jobs, right? So there's the traditional producer that you think of, where you're on the keyboard and you're kind of writing the songs and you're making the beats. But then there's also producers that help connect people to other people. So say you're in the studio and you need to make a record, and you're like, well, I know this guy that I can call, this guy, I have all the resources to help make something happen, right? So that's kind of what I would say. There's different types of producers. So in that regard, I think I'm a producer, and I'm also, I also have a pretty good understanding of making beats and doing some basic production on Ableton. Do I teach Zoom piano lessons? Yes, I do teach Zoom piano lessons, and I've done a lot more recently now that I haven't been going out and teaching in the Chicago area. And the way that my teaching style is that I usually kind of figure out what the students' goals are individually, and we work on anything that's what they want to focus on. So it's a very sort of improvised approach to teaching. So it can go in any kind of different direction based on what the students' needs are. So I encourage you to reach out to me. You can reach out to me at brendandoshi.com or my Instagram, which is Doshi Keys. So also, I just want to make sure that I note too that please, if you feel compelled to donate to the SocialWorks Fund, and there's that link at the bottom of the stream. Okay. So this one kind of ties into the whole teaching thing that I had just talked about. How do you learn the chords? I can only play melodies on each finger. Okay, so the first thing that you have to do is start with learning chords. So chords are just shapes, and they tend to be. You can start with. It can be the chord by definition is one or two notes played at the same time. And you can start with 2 notes or start with 3 notes. And it's just a matter of learning how to play them and then getting that muscle memory together and being able to build up that strength to play those chords. And once you're able to do those, then, like I said, try them in different rhythms and try moving the chords and moving the shape around and learning the different chords and sort of it's like kind of learning vocabulary to like learning a new language, right? So you have to start with learning verbs, learning and practicing those verbs and applying them. And then once you get comfortable with like your left hand, then you have to work slowly and add in the right hand, okay? And then that becomes a thing of coordination. And that just takes time to develop. And it's as much as a physical challenge as much as a intellectual challenge. So here's a good question. It's how do I get past creative blocks? That's a really good question. I think getting past creative blocks, first of all, I think the easiest way to get out of creative blocks is to not get into them, so making sure that you're kind of always living in a way that you're getting inspired, right? And also sometimes you just need to seek creativity and seek inspiration, so sometimes I'm not feeling like I want to practice or I want to do anything or feeling down, especially times like now where there's a little bit of depression that's happening because, a lot of people aren't working. And first of all, that just means that maybe right now isn't the time to be creative. And that's totally okay. I feel like there's this big pressure for everyone right now because it's like we're on this big vacation, but actually we're not. This is a serious thing that that's happening right now, and it's okay to not be creative and also just relax. So that's one thing. So maybe if you're not feeling creative, take a break. Try not being creative, and reconnect with other parts of your life. Like connect with some friends, or maybe look for inspiration in places that you wouldn't normally think of. Pick up a random magazine and read some articles about something new that you've never learned about, and maybe that'll kind of inspire your brain to think in a new way. Another way to get past the creative block is to just, again, break down what you're trying to do into smaller pieces. Or try and look for something that already exists, like I did earlier with that song. Take a song and try and use that as inspiration and to do something different with that rather than trying to come up with something completely from scratch. Who is my biggest musical influence? I think it's interesting. I started listening to music when I was younger, and I used to go to the library, and I would check out a bunch of CDs at a time at the library. This was before streaming and everything was available online. And I would pick out like maybe 30 or 40 CDs, and I would just come home and I would just go through them all over and over and over again and just find the ones that I liked. And I happened to be really into jazz music when I was younger, particularly just different piano players. And so I liked Bill Evans, Oscar Peterson, Herbie Hancock, who's still playing today. And also I liked classical piano players and composers such as Chopin, Debussy, and Ravel. So I really like piano music that has like dense harmony and interesting things. And I also like pop music as well. I like Stevie Wonder, anything funky really. Okay. What was your favorite instrument to learn? That's a great question. So piano I started learning when I was 7 years old. And so I've been playing that now for almost 12, 13 years. And that, I guess, wasn't my favorite to learn because I learned it at such a young age that I didn't really think about learning it when I was learning it. As I've gotten older, I've worked on the drums, I've worked on guitar, I played the trumpet, I played the tuba. So I think my favorite instrument to learn has been the drums, because it's a fun instrument to learn because you're using all four parts of your body, and it's kind of like dancing. And it's been interesting trying to kind of apply that back into the piano, right? So I try and play more like a drummer when I play the piano because the piano is a percussive instrument. All right, I think that's about all the time we have today for questions. So I just want to quickly say thank you again for joining me today for the live stream and the video. I hope that you guys can come out of this with some new, fresh perspectives on how to be creative and maybe got a little bit of inspiration for something new. And I want to just say quickly thank you to SocialWorks and follow me at Doshi Keys on Instagram. Feel free to email me at brendandoshi@gmail.com. And please donate to the SocialWorks Fund. And the link is below right here, that spot.fund. So thanks again, and be safe and well.
Social works, social works, social works, social works, social works, social works, social works. Yeah, S works. Everyone put it in their hands. You know it's a vibe. They're waiting in line to get up and flood up the stands. Yeah, we in this together. We feeling like fam. It's all about peace. So pull up with friends. You better come through with you and your crew, cause everybody going in. S works, so we keep it lit. You can see how we move the city from the west side to the east. Ooh, you can feel it how we leave through. It's all about the youth. Change the world through the tunes. Make the world to a better place. Saying S works, what we do.
Social works, social works, social works, social works, social works. Social works. Keep my family out the dirt. This organization, we stopping no Satan and open, but we call it Sworks. Action on Taylor, the killer verses. I do my feeling, my city hurt. They killing our babies, this war going crazy. I pray for my city to reimburse. Private schools for the kiddies. Where the city at, we litty. All All I know is a swerve. Working hard, keep it busy. Know that life can be tricky, but please just let me finish. Let me just be a witness. SWorks handle business.
Social works, social works, social works, social works, social works, social works.
Ready or not, here we come. South side, west side, east side, north side. Up on the run, we ain't for the none. We came in the party, we here for the fun. Celebrate life, the party we young. Sky's the limit, we looking above. We up in the sun, no matter what, we stay on the run. Ha, S-word, do your thing. S-word, keep it lit. Bullseye, keep your aim. Yeah, we up on the jib. North side, that's the way. Ready or not, here we come. S-word, keep the energy. Look, yeah, we never unplug. S-word, show some love.
Social works, social works, social works, social works, social works, social works. Social works, social works, social works, social works, social works, social works, social works. Yeah, S works. Everyone put up their hands. You know it's a vibe. They waiting in line to get up and flood up the stands. Yeah, we in this together. We feeling like fam. It's all about peace. So pull up with friends. You better come through with you and your crew, cause everybody going in. S works, so we keep it lit. You can see how we move the city from the west side to the east. Ooh, you can feel it how we leave through. It's all about the youth. Change the world through the tunes. Make the world to a better place. And S works what we do.
Social works, social works, social works, social works, social works. Social works. Keep my family out the dirt. This organization, we stopping no Satan and open mic, we call it Sworks. Action no and Taylor the killer verses. I doing my foot in my city hurt. They killing our babies, this war going crazy. I pray for my city to reimburse. Running schools for the kids. We the city, yeah, we litty. All I know is a swerve. Working hard, keep it busy. Know that life can be tricky, but please just let me finish. Let me just be a witness. SWorks handle business.
Social works, social works, social works, social works, social works, social works.
Ready or not, here we come. South side, west side, east side, north side. Up on the run, we ain't for the none. We came in the party, we here for the fun. Celebrate life, the party we young. Sky's the limit, we looking above. We up in the sun, no matter what, we stay on the run. Ha, S-word, do your thing. S-word, keep it lit. Bullseye, keep your aim. Yeah, we up on the jib. North side, that's the way. Ready or not, here we come. S-word, keep the energy. Look, yeah, we never unplug. S-word, show some love.